In 2010, id Software, the company behind several major first-person shooters of the 1990s, reintroduced themselves to the gaming public with their release of Mutant Bash TV for iOS. What began as a simple mobile game known as Mutant Bash TV for the iOS would turn into a potential game series, as this game would serve as a tie-in for the release of the acclaimed first-person shooter Rage. It was at QuakeCon where programmer John Carmack from id Software would debut the soon-to-be-released post-apocalyptic thrill ride. Released for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Windows PC, and Mac, Rage was a game that represented an almost new direction for id Software. Today we are familiar with id Software's gore-heavy releases of Doom and Doom Eternal, but for most of id Software history, the company was known for their fast-paced corridor-style FPSs, such as the early Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein series for the PC. At the turn of the 21st century, id Software faced a number of setbacks in staying relevant in the gaming industry. Between 1999 and 2011, id Software didn't exactly have the best lineup of games. Other than Doom 3 for the original Xbox, the company lacked any major releases. The development of Rage offered id Software a chance to modernize and develop new technologies for immersive and action-heavy gameplay, along with taking inspiration from plenty of other companies who had been dabbling in open-world video games. While Rage was majorly lacking in the story department, it did set the stage for id Software's revival within the video game industry. In this retrospective video, I aim to provide an overall history and details regarding the development of Rage, along with discussing how Rage set new industry standards for the first-person shooter genre. If you enjoy learning more about the classic video games you grew up with, please consider subscribing to the channel.
So here's what I need you to do. Head to where those bandits live and wipe them out, plain and simple.
Since the early 1990s, id Software had developed a reputation in not just creating the first-person shooter genre, but also creating first-person shooters which would set industry standards and define the genre as a whole. Game series like Quake, Wolfenstein, and Doom introduced mainstays like fast-paced and real-time shooting, revolutionary level design which rewarded curiosity and mastery, and most importantly, weapons that feel powerful and satisfying. Of course, being that I was born in 1991 and lacked a gaming PC, I never had a chance to experience any of id Software's old school titles until I reached adulthood. No, my first experience playing an id Software game wouldn't come until 2011 when I picked up a copy of Rage for my Xbox 360. Set in a post-apocalyptic world in the aftermath of a deadly asteroid strike, the story of Rage centers around former U.S. Marine Lieutenant Nicholas Rain, a survivor of the secret shelter known as the Ark, who awakens over 100 years later after the asteroid hits the planet and wipes around 90% of the population out. The Ark which Rage comes from was one of many and was part of the Eden Project, which was a massive international undertaking to preserve selected human beings into cryogenic pods sealed under the surface of the Earth. Nicholas Rain wakes to find that he is the only survivor of his respective Ark. As he steps out to see the surface, he immediately finds that the world is very different. He soon finds that the remnants of humanity are now living in scattered settlements and war-torn cities of the old world. Humans living in these scattered locations are now under the brutal regime of the Authority, the last remaining government of the wasteland. Unlike the bandit gangs that roam the uncharted parts of the wasteland, the Authority is a technologically advanced group, and they are equipped with better weapons and more resources. The main priority for the Authority is to establish control over all technology and technological advancements, and that especially goes for Lieutenant Ray, who, as an ARC survivor, was injected with nanonites into his bloodstream that allow him to revive himself and survive the rough wasteland. We hear from multiple people that the Authority wishes to capture Rain and harness the power of the nanonites. At the time of its release, Rage was given several different awards and generally positive reviews, but it still feels kind of short in a few categories, such as the lack of a decent fleshed out story or narrative, along with a lack of genuine character development as seen in plenty of other games at the time. While the story was sufficient enough to keep the player involved, it didn't provide enough details or aspects of world building to keep the player interested. Let's consider for a moment why people in general enjoy open world games. It's one thing to offer a sandbox world where one can free roam, but it means nothing if the world itself has nothing to offer. Games like Fallout 3 are well regarded because they provided the player with game lore and new encounters as incentives to explore, plus a chance to learn more about events, factions, and characters outside the main story. The story of Rage is just okay. It gives a typical narrative of a human resistance battling against an unjust government, while at the same time showcasing some fleshed out backstory of characters battling against daily struggles. But other than that, there are questions that go unanswered, and there are little chances to uncover secrets or hidden chunks of lore. Despite the game having an open world that can be explored, there isn't much story or lore-wise to unpack upon exploring. Back in 2011, that was a little disappointing. Never do you get any background knowledge or history lessons on the settlement hubs you explore. You also never learn that much about the key characters of the game. They could have at least included some backstory regarding the main character. Nonetheless, where the story lacks, Rage makes up for this with its setting, which takes a lot of cues from the Mad Max series of films. As the game features various factions struggling to survive a harsh wasteland with little to no renewable resources. The wasteland itself is dominated by various factions of raiders and settlers in direct competition to survive. The Mad Max style was chosen as an excuse to twist the world in a way that was different from any other post-apocalyptic game which came before. With the setting in mind, the id team was able to expand the gameplay in several ways. For one, the expansive wasteland provided groundwork to establish driving as a key game mechanic, as the player would need to drive from one location to another while avoiding various hazards along the way. Additionally, the team also incorporated various RPG elements within the gameplay, such as the ability to customize your character with weapons and gear, along with learning more about the world through interactions and towns.
If you're looking for Mayor Clayton, he's right over there.
When John Carmack was coming up with id Tech 5, one of the things we wanted to make sure we did is give people something new.
This is the first game that is going to use and fully explore the capabilities of John Carmack's id Tech 5.
Rage development was fairly interesting, as the company id Software between 1999 and 2007 was undergoing several different changes. For one of their top programmers, John Romero, along with various other founding members, had departed after the release of Quake 3 Arena in 1999. Secondly, the company had produced only one hit game between 1999 and 2011, Doom 3, which was published under Activision. It's not entirely clear when work for Rage officially began, but most likely it began in 2006, as the demo for the game was originally revealed in 2007 at QuakeCon. In the absence of John Romero, programmer John Carmack would take the leading role and would help develop the new engine and playstyle of Rage, which was shown off by Matt Hopper. It was at QuakeCon where Hopper would reveal the id Tech 5 game engine, the very same game engine that id Software would use for their newer titles of the 2010s. Rage would become the first game programmed to utilize all major components of the id Tech 5 engine. These components were the vast environments, seamless world and streaming, and 60 FPS for multiple platforms. Between 2007 and 2009, most work was spent on building the game engine rather than the game itself. The engine would utilize a mega texture system which would allow artists to paint huge game worlds. I played many games set in post-apocalyptic settings, and I gotta say, Rage offers some of the most eye-catching and stunning visuals I've ever seen. Each settlement and terrain you explore will come equipped with various features that bring a lot of depth to the environment. In 2009, id Software would be purchased by ZeniMax, the very same parent company of Bethesda Studios, a company that had experience working on Fallout 3, another post-apocalyptic game. With this acquisition, id Software was given more resources to finish Rage. Due to this acquisition, the game was pushed back from its initial release in 2010 to October 2011. Between 2010 and 2011, id Software further worked on level design, storytelling, and world-building aspects. Along with making this an open-world game, Carmack and id Software also wanted to include new features such as driving controls, racing, along with compatible online modes. Upon being released, id Software would provide versions for the PC, Mac, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 3. Anyone who has played games like Fallout or the Borderlands will immediately note the various similarities Rage shares, the most obvious being the post-apocalyptic setting and world-building aspects that work to further immerse the player. Combining this with the emphasis of looting, scavenging, and open-world exploration, Rage might seem like a carbon copy of both games, but it works in several different mechanics that differentiate from the competition. What is immediately seen upon playing through the first segment is the tight and responsive shooting programmed into the game, as weapons not only feel tight and accurate but also feature no input lag. This allows almost every shot to be as accurate as possible, whether you're hip firing a shotgun or sniping from a cliff. The player always has a sense of control and can avoid wasting ammo. Each weapon found in the game has its own feeling, with punchy sounds and slick animations which make gunfights more adrenaline-fueled. And this sense of adrenaline is aided by the unique sound designs of the weapons, which truly allow you to feel each shot. And in the heat of battle, the reload animations will have you on your toes, as they are fast, weighty, and really help sell the power of weapons. Compared to other post-apocalyptic games, the number of weapons might seem small in comparison, but that's just what made Rage all the more different, as it was less about the variety and more about the feel and ability to use the right weapon for the right moment or situation. Crafting gadgets and useful items is also a key mechanic of Rage. Although I believe some things could have been more fleshed out, it works pretty well and is easy to master. In keeping with the theme of surviving the post-apocalyptic world, players can scavenge certain items such as circuit boards, gears, and batteries to craft gadgets, ammo, and health items. And throughout the span of the game, you are encouraged to explore various areas and to loot dead bodies to find the items you need. Taking advantage of crafting in the game will save you money in the long run and will provide a certain edge in combat. The key items the player can craft for battles include sentry bots, RC bomb cars, and wingtip throwing projectiles. Sentry bots will provide extra fire support, while RC bomb cars can detonate and kill nearby enemies. The wingtips are definitely my go-to gadget of choice, as they can slice through most armor with a few slashes, and can really make the difference in a desperate situation. For general support items, lock grinders are made to unlock doors where more items can be found, while health items such as bandages and adrenaline shots will help keep you alive. In order to craft any of these items, players will need to complete missions in order to gain schematics in specific locations. The crafting system in Rage works well enough without overcomplicating things, and any item needed for crafting the garbage can be either scavenged from the wasteland or purchased from a vendor. Where the game really steps up is the ability to switch out weapons and in a few cases even craft different ammunitions in the selection menu. This almost works to give weapons a new look and feel. Even for the smallest weapons like the cellular pistol, the player can have regular ammo or change it up by crafting the Fat Boy or Hot Mama rounds. Then switching to the combat shotgun, the player can load up buckshot rounds or create pop rockets by combining explosive ordnance with regular shotgun rounds, resulting in a devastating array of fire. One real convenient aspect of the game is the intuitive quick selection menu that can be customized to your preference of weapons and gadgets. It's here where you can equip and designate certain weapons and gadgets to use on the fly. It's also where you can access your inventory items like the car radio for pickups. In the heat of battle, when you need to change ammo for a weapon, you simply just hold down the right bumper and use the left analog stick to select the ammo. Perhaps the most useful mechanic of the game is the defibrillator revival system. This serves as not just a useful mechanic, but also a unique twist that fits the lore of the main character. Whenever you die, you get a chance to revive yourself via a quick time minigame. Once you complete this minigame, your character will spring back to life and deliver a shock charge to nearby enemies. This can be upgraded for more charges and better shock radius throughout the span of the game. With all that said, Rage is fun but often difficult. And that strongly has to do with the advanced AI of the game, which makes enemies not just responsive but also strategic. Rather than just hugging or sticking in one spot, players will retreat to more strategic locations. They will also at times rush in and attempt to flank players as well. Mutants on the other hand typically try to swarm the player and can trap them in certain areas. Boss encounters can be challenging, but honestly, if you have the right weapon and the right ammo, they can be dispatched easy enough. This is one aspect of the game I really think they should have hashed out more. Boss encounters in Rage would have been much better if they had bothered to work in some interesting antagonists into the storyline, but instead they sure of just cheaped out here. While you do face more powerful opponents with actual health bars, they can be dispatched quickly enough. While boss encounters aren't that difficult, Rage still manages to get progressively more difficult the further you go. Each new area you unlock, you will encounter 5 or 6 different clans, each being considerably tougher than the last. A few of the other raiding clans are known for their melee combat, while others rely more on the use of weapons and technology and tactics. For instance, the Ghost Clan, who are very similar to the War Boys of Fury Road, use direct melee attacks, while the Gearheads and Shrouded clans rely more on weapons like RC car bombs and sentry bots. The sheer diversity among the Raider clans is pretty cool, and I wish there was a chance to find out more facts about the Raider clans and explore some lore related to their creation. Aside from the main story and missions, Rage was also given some additional side activities which serve as good distractions from the main game. Remember Mutant Bass TV? Well, this mobile game would basically serve as a side activity connected to a few missions for the main story and the DLC. Bass TV works as some of the same nifty obstacle courses that are as challenging as they are fun. You also have the racing and vehicle combat sections, which are lacking in some degree or more. Racing is relatively enjoyable, but vehicle combat leaves a lot to be desired, as the controls are just too frenetic for any combat whatsoever. And honestly, I think id Software knew full well that the driving aspect of the game was a little watered down, considering that you honestly don't need to drive back from any location where you completed a mission. Rather, you can just use your hand radio to request a pickup from one of 3 mechanics. My complaints aside, Rage still offers an almost console-defining experience, and I think that's what id was going for. A game that could show off the graphic capabilities of the current console generation and would influence various other games to come. Particularly, Rage laid down a lot of groundwork for visually ambitious games that came much later on. It's done this for the uniquely designed landscapes equipped with seamless transitions between indoor and outdoor spaces, similarly found in games such as Wolfenstein: The New Order and The Evil Within. In terms of gunplay, Rage set certain standards like responsive controls, snappy weapon animations, along with powerful hit feedback and ragdoll physics seen in such games like Far Cry 3 and Metro Last Light. In discussing more aspects of gameplay, Rage didn't just make gadgets an afterthought. Rather, gadgets serve as the core for gameplay flow, such as seen in Call of Duty Black Ops 3. It would be a stretch to say that Rage reinvented the FPS genre. Rather, it would subtly introduce ideas and tech that were refined and popularized by other titles in the years that follow. If you're looking to play this game again or maybe for the first time, you can find this game available for the Xbox Game Pass or even just pick it up on Steam. That concludes this retrospective of id Software's Rage. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you can, please leave a like and comment on the video. Thanks for watching, y'all. This is your big homie Bob signing off. Until next time, stay beautiful.
clear.